So why in the world go through all that, get bad reviews, get all the, crazy people yelling and screaming at you? Why not just make the movie for yourself? And you're free. I wanted to do back when I started, but I'm going to learn things, and the things I learn, possibly I'll pass on to other friends of mine and other people who are directors.
Anonymous from Elstree Studios, UK. A message to you, the fans. Share it, as will be only and last. Unlearn what you have, follow the path of true light, and know yourself. Now, time is running out.
This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen.
Soon,
you will be a Jedi, I promise.
The galaxy will be remade.
This message is a warning and a reminder for any surviving Jedi.
The Jedi will die.
We have worked on Star Wars for over 40 years. Just one of the things you do not know is, England is not the home of Star Wars, no more, since the sequels. Years. Just one of the things you do not know is, England is not the home of Star Wars, no more, since the sequels. Disney knew our contract, long written by George, was over. They never had guts to tell us Disney, that is Lucasfilm felt guilt. Lucas had also signed UK crew for 3 trilogies and a few spin-offs. That was done in 2020. When you see the behind the scenes of the mainly US crew hugging as if for last time it was, we have no love for them, for what they did to George too, but us. George made it in UK for a reason. To avoid the religious loonies, they made him give up. Threats, not fans. No one bothered him until the prequels. Even before they were released. That is why US hate them, as they followed the church critic since 1977. They banned it. Why, you got to ask yourself, why go through so much to finish it? Ask that yourself. We do this anonymous, but you know us.
For the internet, for truth at all. Myself, an executive producer from the start, costume director, set director. You will know the names. I was the middleman between Lucas and Equity. That was the British Guild for actors and crew. Obviously, many people have heard about the union stories. George first approached us. We never expected it to be anything more than a B movie. Reasons are not always quite exactly what they sound too. The fact that he only came to Britain because it was cheaper. Yes, maybe a bit cheaper, but seriously, that only Britain started off the movies long before Hollywood, and then turned to television long before the world. That is why BBC Worldwide went from radio to TV. By the time the 1970s came, the film industry, which was really dead in Britain. It was only the Hammer films of like Peter Cushing and Alec Guinness and those sort of people who kept that alive. Again, Christopher Lee, Dooku, mid-70s, that had finished. When he came across with Gary Kurtz was second command by then, and also a young lady, Kathleen Kennedy. Many people seem to slag her off on these films and don't realise the experience and how long she's actually been with Lucasfilm. Not just producing and helping with Star Wars, 6 films with Lucas, other projects such as Indiana Jones.
We'll make a note for Dwayne that there may be a new shot inserted in between these two.
Echo Station 5-7, we're on our way.
140, take 1.
Cut.
Are those your real movie boots?
No.
3 years later, everybody comes back to work, and everybody's sort of more enthusiastic than they were the first time. The first time everybody was very confused by the whole thing and didn't know what they were up against. Now they had a better picture of what it was we were making. It was fun to get started again.
There's a new dance, doing the tauntaun. 3 steps like this and then fall over.
How can they laugh in this weather?
There are challenges on any movie. The snowstorm was the worst storm in history.
Snow's coming!
They couldn't get the train in there, so Harrison couldn't get on the set, until a week later. So they could barely shoot. We shot like 20 feet outside the hotel. 4 weeks into shooting, we were already over schedule. And the bank was also saying, we're not going to give you any more money. And you're in a world now where everything is, well, first of all, those movies, they don't make money. And you can't, like Red Tail's perfect example. Not only does it not make money, you can't get anybody to distribute it. You can't get anybody to put any advertising money behind it. You can't, so it loses money no matter how you do it. So why in the world go through all that, get bad reviews, get all the, crazy people yelling and screaming at you?
You listen to what I say, Theory Boy, and you listen good! You'll never be a Disney princess based on our qualifications, haha!
You always said that there was messages in both to us. We never quite understood it. You may have heard these stories before, that Alec Guinness would say, well, I just read the lines and don't really understand it. No one really understood it until it actually got onto the screen. As an executive production in the UK, the head of a separate company, Lucas started, a separate company that would not fall foul to Disney, but he also was helping out while we were in dispute with Disney, because we had many of the original costumes, the original masks, the models, and this is before the Hollywood side. The ILM was based in London as well. In fact, the whole problem and the whole reason why he had to bring on a lot more American crew was because when it came to actually certifying a film, it should be put down as at least a British American film. 20th Century Fox would not even have that, even though there had been films done that were totally British. But for some reason, no. Now we got to remember that people keep saying that he's always going to go back to Star Wars. The Disney owned Star Wars. Now, let me tell you something. Just before he passed things on to Kathleen Kennedy in June 2012, there was storyboard treatment coming to Borehamwood or Elstree, because just like films before The Phantom Menace, we were having storyboard treatments for us to be able to make the costumes and sets, film and the following films a long time before the actual filming would start.
World War I wasn't the only time that Disney got involved with war activities. During World War II, Walt became the government's best friend as he was creating propaganda for the cause. Between 1942 and 1945, Walt and his animators were heavily involved in creating posters and even integrating Disney characters fighting against people like the Japanese. You could say that the way things were animated, it was a tad offensive. Walt also worked on plenty of anti-German propaganda too. When he wasn't doing that, he was creating training films for the United States military. The anti-war propaganda was created to help boost U.S. morale and was being paid for by the American taxpayers. You could say that Walt was a government employee for German propaganda. Also working with NASA and creating documentaries about the space program. He even made a puberty-related film for local schools, targeting primarily girls, called The Story of Menstruation. Hated one of the most beloved Disney characters in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Walt did not like Goofy. When biographer Neil Gabler conducted an interview with Walt, he learned that he was far from Goofy's #1 fan. Moment. The most dedicated Disney guru will know that the company got the rights to Oswald back in 2006. How did that happen? Well, it all had to do with Al Michaels. By this time, Universal and NBC were joined together and they wanted to use Michaels for Sunday Night Football. In short, Disney got Oswald for Michaels. But the loss made him realize that people could connect with a single character and it could turn into a huge moneymaker. This was what inspired him and his partner, Ub Iwerks, to create Mickey Mouse.
I told you once and I'll tell you again, you'll never be a Disney princess!
To protect George like he did us, you give him hate and shit but do not yet understand the saga. After 40 years plus, where did they take it? Disney of all, who turned stories into fairy tales. USA is in a bubble, he tried show you. Now